we have a very extraordinary speaker, Neeta Singhal ji. So I have known her for almost now 6, 7 years, and she is a specialist on astrology as well as chakras. So she has been in this line for almost 17 years, and in the 17 years she has actually grown her business in spirituality as well as in through chakras as and rudraksha and gems. And now currently she has got 22 distributors across the globe, and she has more than 40,000 products which she is distributing through her work. And she's such an amazing lady, and I have heard her several times in her auditorium. It is one beautiful place which you should definitely see. She has created an auditorium where around 100 plus people can be accommodated, and it is virtually like a beautiful place where you can see so many artifacts in it. I love the place, the ambience. And today we are very happy to invite her to speak about chakras and how we can actually raise our consciousness of by using the meditation and techniques that is there. So Neeta ji, over to you, and you can take it up from here. Thank you so much, and please give a warm welcome to Neeta ji by just giving her a little clap.
Thank you so much, Jagdish. So I'm very happy to hear that the name of your group is Lost Key. Okay. So let us understand, where is the lock? Okay. What are we searching for? What are we trying to open? Okay. Did you ever think about it when you made this group? That yes, we have lost something, we don't know what we have lost. So actually, the key is the key to the heart. Okay. Ultimately, we have to open our heart. And because the heart is the place of happiness and love. Today, all of us are searching for that unconditional happiness. We have experienced bouts of happiness, but they are in small spurts, right? We were happy when we got some success. We were happy because we got love. We were happy when we saw something beautiful, when we heard something. So our happiness till now is always external, right? So we have always found happiness with a person or a thing or a situation which was external. But it was very fleeting. It was, only for certain time. And after that, that happiness, what we got from there, it was not permanent. And again, we started running that maybe I will be happy now. So some people are running for money. Some people are running for success. Some are running for love. Everyone is running somewhere. But they are not realizing that you don't get things by running. You get things when you stop and when you go inside. So the key that you have, that lock is not somewhere outside. The lock is inside. So you have to take the key and turn it inwards. So we can remember Lord Buddha. He meditated for very long in order to find that why people are not happy. He was a king, he had a family, he had all the luxuries, but he was not happy. So when he meditated for several years and he found the answer, for some days he was very shocked that how can I tell people the truth? But ultimately, whatever you realize, you have to share with people, right? So what happened? He came out and he told the 4 noble truths. First, if you are living in this world, you are actually unhappy. You are in a state of pleasure and pain. And life is dukkham. If you are in this world, you are sad. Second thing what he said was that there is a reason for this unhappiness. And what is the reason? The reason is your attachment to this world. Because of attachment, you have desires. And it is the desires that give you pleasure and pain. Whatever gives you pleasure is the same thing that gives you pain. If you are neutral about something, you don't have pleasure, you don't have pain. You cannot selectively choose, I want only to be happy. You cannot. And if you want to come out of suffering, sadly, you have to give up the pleasures also. So second, he said that your suffering is due to attachment. And third, he said there is a hope. You can come out of this suffering. And fourth, he said, to come out, there is an eightfold path. Right? This eightfold path is what is told by all the masters and all the saints in different ways. Right? It is what is stated in our Vedas, in our Puranas. It was what was told in Bible. It is told by everyone, but in a different language. I also talk about this eightfold path through the chakras. Every single chakra in your body, right? What is a chakra? Chakra is actually, you can say, they are revolving wheels of energy in your body, in your conscious system, subconscious system. They lie along the length of the spine. And because in our philosophy, in our spirituality, everything can be given a form, a shape, a color, and it has a message. So every chakra has got a form, it has got a color, it has got certain frequencies which awaken it, and it has certain very important lessons of life that it teaches. You can think of chakras like wheels that tune you to life. Every chakra has got a different lesson to teach, right? And knowledge about chakras is not something new. It is as old as the Vedas. But what happens is that knowledge is so immense that people are explaining the same knowledge in different ways. In Chakra Yoga, which is my foundation, I teach you the lessons of chakras, whatever I have received in deeper states of meditation. So I share those lessons which are so complete that they can help you tune to life. And I will teach you in a very simple form. I'll tell you about myself. I've been a teacher for a large part of my life. I was in Indonesia for 10 years, and there for 5 years I was teaching in an international school. So I got an experience of teaching. By qualification, I'm a master's in computer applications from Delhi University. I've worked in Infosys. I've worked making these software programs. Maybe that was the knowledge which helped me make my website. Today, our website, we are an e-commerce company, and it is the topmost website in Rudraksha and Gemstones. If you go on Google, you will see the positioning and you will see our spread. Through this website, we are spreading spirituality and also religion. We are spreading that because people need a form. First, they pray to the form, and after that, they come to the formless. Whether you pray to Jesus or you pray to Allah, you pray to Buddha, ultimately you will come to the formless. So this is what we have been doing through our website. So as I said that today we are not happy because we have not experienced the opening of the heart. And we have not experienced the opening of the heart because we have seen happiness outside. We always think that happiness is achieved by getting something outside. Right? Now, in order to understand this completely, okay, we have to understand that what is the purpose of human birth? Why are we here in this world? Right? Everyone is muted, so you cannot answer, so I'll give you the answer. That what is the purpose of human birth? Okay? When I ask this question in my session, some people say we have come to complete some karma. Someone says we are here to experience life. Right? Someone says that, we have come because we have done something and so we have to, whatever it is, everyone has different things to say. Firstly, there is no purpose of us coming here. Life is purposeless. We have not come for some great mission. We have not even come for enlightenment. Because if you think that we have come to become spiritual, you will try running after it and you will not reach it. So we have not come to complete karma. We have not come here to experience life, or we have not come here to reach God also. We have to understand that life is experiencing itself through us. Simple. Life is purposeless and it is experiencing its grandeur through us. And as human beings, we are so blessed that we can be witness to that intention of life. Animals, plants, they are all living. In our case, as humans, we can see life. We can witness life. We can see ourselves as life. We can see ourselves as God. And that's why human birth is the most sacred. Secondly, a lot of people say that we have to go through many births and become a human. I absolutely don't agree with it. We were always human and we will remain human. But yes, in every birth, we evolve more. Every birth, our consciousness gets cleared. When we are born, our consciousness is clouded. It is darkness. We don't know who we are. We come out from the dark womb of our mother. But just like you wake up in the morning and you become aware of the world around you. In time, as you evolve, as you become more aware, because of different experiences of life, because of self-introspection, your consciousness starts opening. The clouds start shattering. They start clearing up. And slowly, slowly, what happens? The sun within you, who is the God within you, who is the enlightened within you, it comes forward. And you become enlightened. You can say, in a very simple way, we have come to realize the sun within us, if you want to give it a purpose. Or you can say, we have come to tune to our true nature. Listen to this carefully. We are here in this world to tune to our true nature. When you tune to your true nature, you will settle. Till you are not tuned, you are running. You are in pleasure, you are pain, you are in fear, you are in anxiety, you are in want, you are in lack. But when you tune to your true nature, you settle. Today, all the people who are here, a lot of your true nature has been revealed. And that's why these kind of spiritual things attract you. But whatever is the darkness, with knowledge, with different experiences, it's going to go. And as the darkness gets shattered, you become happier. You become more at peace, right? And because your true nature is of abundance, is of power, is of intelligence, you reflect that nature in the outside. So you can say that today you are a consciousness and the material world that you're seeing outside of you is a reflection of that consciousness. Right? So in Hindu religion, we call it Shiva and Shakti. Means Shiva is your true self, and that's why we chant the mantra Shivoham. I am Shiva. So Shiva is your true nature, and Prakriti or Maya or Shakti, who is his counterpart, is actually a reflection of Shiva. So you can say your body, your mind, your senses, your house, your family, your career, your friends, they are a reflection of your Shiva. whatever you see external of you is a reflection of your true nature. But actually what happens, because of Maya or illusion, you fall into the trap and you get so attracted to the illusion. You get so attracted to the illusion that you start controlling the illusion. So if I want to give you an example, see, I will be saying the same thing in many ways. So if you cannot understand one thing, it's okay. I will again explain in another way. And one more thing, I will take you through the chakras first orally, and then I will take you graphically. Because I think we should revise it and then you will understand it better. Is it okay, Jagdish? Thank you. So we have to understand that it is like, suppose you are standing in front of the mirror and you are seeing your reflection in the mirror, right? So if you want to change anything in the reflection, can you do? Can you rub it, polish it, scrub it, straighten it? Can you do something in the reflection? Never. And that is the case with you. Today, you are the consciousness inside your body, mind, senses, your family, your loved ones, your friends. Your career is just a reflection. Thinking I can change my spouse, I can change my children, I can change my business is the biggest illusion, because you cannot change anything. Only thing you can do is change yourself. When you change yourself, your business will change. When you become harmonious and love from here, you will see love and harmony in your life. When you become joyful here, you will see joy outside. When you become abundant and rich here, you will see abundance outside. Right? When you become safe and secure here, you will see security outside. So whatever you want to actually see in your world, what you have to do is just change here. When you change here, everything outside changes. Right? So we have to understand that what do we do in spirituality? I will explain to you in very simple words. Okay? What happens is, when we take birth in this world, okay, when our consciousness arrives in this world, as I said, that we are a consciousness and everything other than us is Maya, illusion. Our consciousness gets trapped in the Maya. We get so intoxicated by it, right? It intoxicates us, it attracts us. You can call Maya like money, it could be success, it could be beauty, it could be entertainment, it could be anything of the external world. You get so intoxicated by it that you get trapped by it, right? And when you get trapped by it, what happens is you get a lot of pleasure from it, but it also gives you a lot of pain and a lot of suffering, right? So in my last webinar, I had asked a very interesting question, that I'm talking for the people who know the Hindu religion, that is spirituality about the marriage between Shiva and Shakti, or is it something else? Does the soul have to marry the Shakti, or is it something else? So what happened was, people gave a lot of answers that yes, it is the union of Shiva and Shakti. Then I told people, no, it is actually the divorce. Actually, the spirituality is all about separation between Shiva and Shakti. And that's why Shiva is always in perpetual meditation. He's closed his eyes. And here Shakti is also fighting the demons, and here Shiva is also cleansing himself with Abhishek. Right? So we have to understand that actually the soul has got so much trapped in the Maya that it has forgotten itself. Today you have become so trapped in the Maya of your family that no, I have to take care of my family. My children have to go to the best school. I have to fulfill their desires. My wife has to be happy. My parents have so many dreams from me, I have to fulfill. Then you are so trapped in the maya of your company. I want to make my company to this level. I want to reach at this level. I want to be fit. I want to be famous. I want to be successful. I want to be in love. I want to have love in my life. I want to experience all the pleasures of this life. You have become so trapped in the maya that you have forgotten yourself. And that is the lost key. You have forgotten. Right? So what happens is, in order to come out of the web of maya, right, we have to follow 4 paths. Right? We have to follow 4 paths, and that is called yoga. And what are the 4 paths? Bhakti yoga, Jnana yoga, Karma yoga, Dhyana. And what are these paths? I'll explain to you in very simple words. Bhakti yoga means devotion. You should have devotion to your true qualities. You are not realizing whatever is attracting you outside, it is you. Wealth is attracting. You are Lakshmi, you are abundance. Knowledge is attracting you. Why you are going there? You are knowingness personified. Music is attracting you. You are that creativity personified. Love is attracting you. Oh, you are love personified. Whatever is attracting you, you are that. And that's why ultimately people say, oh, you are that. Because whatever you are searching outside, you are that. So you are searching for stability, you are searching for creativity, you are searching for power, you are searching for love, you are searching for being famous, you are searching for being intelligent. Oh, you are that. But what happens is you think it is there. So you get trapped in the maya. And to come out of the maya, there are 4 paths. Bhakti yoga, it is devotion to your true qualities. Pray to Lakshmi so much, you become her. Pray to Jesus so much, you become him. What an embodiment of compassion he was. Imagine he was being, nailed on the cross and he was praying, God, please forgive these people. They don't know what they are doing. See the level of compassion. See the level of detachment of Buddha. He was a prince. He left his wife, he left his child, and he was totally ascetic. So we have to understand that everything that attracts you outside is you. So Bhakti Yoga means surrender and devotion to those qualities. Devotion to abundance, devotion to love that Meera had for Krishna. So much love that Radha had for Krishna. So much sacrifice she did. So that is devotion. So when you have devotion to your qualities, you will try to follow that path. That Maya cannot touch you because you have so much devotion to yourself. Second comes Dhyan Yoga. It is not only devotion that will help you, because a lot of exercise has to be done. The web is so dense and so tight and so, gripping. So what is the second thing you do? You do Dhyan Yoga. You meditate. You fast. You do Pratyahar. Okay, for next 15 days, I'm going to leave my favorite food. For next 15 days, I'm not going to connect with any of my lost key friends. Very difficult. Then you do Pratyahar of each sense, of the eyes, of the smell, of the taste, of the ear, of the touch. You don't do it. When you don't do it, you suffer. But actually you don't die. You don't die. You realize you can stay without it. So what happens is, this Dhyan Yoga has got meditation, it has got tapasya, it has got fasting, it has got several kriyas where you use your breath, where you do pranayam, you do yoga, in order to come out of that web of Maya. Right? Because Till you don't come out, you will think this is pleasure. Come out and you will see this is pleasure. So what you do is, you do Dhyan Yoga. Then next, you do Karma Yoga. What is Karma Yoga? See, unless you see that manifestation outside, unless you become successful in the real world, how can you drop it? Unless you see beauty and health and creativity in the external world, how can you drop it? Listen to this carefully. That Karma Yoga is very important, because unless you have experienced it yourself, how can you drop it? Unless you have lots of money, how can you drop being attracted by money outside? You see, all the gods were kings. There was no god that was a beggar. Even the spirituality comes only to well-off people. A person living with so many requirements and desires, he can never become spiritual. So spirituality is basically for the successful people. Then they can choose that I will live in a hut, or they can choose to live like a fakir, like Sai Baba. But a poor person who has not experienced, how can he abandon anything? I remember a small story. Once there was a very poor beggar who was begging with his bowl. A king came and he took a lot of pity on him and said, why don't you come and stay in my palace? I will give you good clothes, I'll give you good food, I'll give you some position. He was very happy. Oh, hail to the king, hail to the king. So king said, come now, come after me. My chariot is just going there. So that beggar was very crazy. He started running after the king. Then after a few kilometers, he realized, oh God, king, please, sorry. I want to go back. The king tried to stop him. He ran back. You know for what? He ran for his begging bowl. So we have to understand that a person who has not experienced how he can drop this attachment with anything. A simple thing, unless you have held something, how can you drop it? And that is Karma Yoga. So you have to first experience love to come out of lust. You have to first experience abundance and success to come in simplicity. You see, the richest of people become very simple after some time. For them, it is easier. Right? So with success, you become humble. Whenever you get lot of creativity, you become simpler. Something like I often observe, like in fashion shows, right? If you see some big fashion designer, Rohit Bal or someone who has created, he comes in the simplest of clothes. Because you become simple when you have created so much. It doesn't attract you anymore. So Karma Yoga means in the real world, you have to do effort to create everything that you are. You have to create the outer manifestation exactly as per your consciousness. And these are the lessons of the 7 chakras. Every chakra teaches you vital lessons which are your true nature. And these lessons are not very tough. If you just read them like that, you feel they are little difficult. But when I explain, it will become very simple. I will explain with a small story. Okay. Suppose you take a seed and you put it in the mud. Okay. Now the seed is your consciousness. The mud is the world. When you come into the world, right? So you are put into the Prakriti or nature. Right? What is the first thing that the seed will do? First thing, no, this. First thing is it will grow its roots. First thing what it will do is it will try to catch the earth. Right? It will become alive and it will try to catch the earth. Now that catching of the earth is the root chakra. When you are born, you're born in the arms of a mother. Life tells you that you are supported. No one comes without a mother. Mother comes by default. So you are supported, and the lesson of the root chakra is you don't have to worry about your survival. You don't have to fear being unstable and unsupported. Life supports. If not this, this. If not this, this. Just like every plant comes in the exact environment, what it is meant for. Papaya will come in certain regions, coconut tree will come near the shore, right? Banana tree will come in tropical climate. Every animal, every plant has got its environment. Your parents are the perfect soil for your growth. You don't choose your parents. He chooses your parents. They are chosen. You're chosen for the best kind of environment that is going to nurture. Whatever challenges you face in life, you have to know they're going to make you stronger. I remember one story that one child saw in an egg, the fledgling was trying to come out, the bird was trying to come out. Yeah, so he took pity, and what he did was he broke the shell so that the bird comes out easily. But what happened was the bird, it could not fly whole life, because the wings that were supposed to become stronger by cracking the egg never got developed. So today, every single challenge that you're facing in your life is actually developing you, is making you strong. And that is the lesson of the root chakra. Second, once that plant starts coming up and starts growing the shoots, a time comes he starts asking, who am I? Who am I? Whether I'm an orange plant or banana plant or this plant or that plant. He doesn't know his identity. But does that mean that it should have low self-confidence? Should it compare with other plants and think, oh, he's so tall, I'm so short, he's so thick, I'm so thin, he's green color, I'm brown color? So what happens is today, a lot of people are suffering from self-doubt because they don't know who they are, and they start feeling that there is something wrong with me. Arey, there is no you. What can be wrong with you? You are just a witness. You are a witness to life realizing itself. How can you have low self-confidence? So what happens is this chakra, which is called the second chakra, which is the Swadhisthana chakra. The first chakra is called Mooladhara or root chakra. Second one is Swadhisthana or sacral chakra. It teaches you lessons about honoring your identity, respecting your identity. Today, I don't know who I am, but I'm a form of him. Right? Now, the third chakra is the Manipur chakra. Now, once the plant starts growing more, it starts realizing that, yes, I have power. It's not that anyone can come and impose their will over me. I don't have to compromise or sacrifice. I have got some power. I have got some basic intelligence within me. So it starts connecting to its power to say no, to stand up for himself. Right? Right now, I'm connecting to a plant. You can also connect with human birth. When a child is born, even with a mother, then he starts finding what I have come for, what is my talent. And then he starts separating himself with his unique opinions. That you cannot compare me, that why I'm not doing this or why I'm not following this profession. I like this means I will do this only. You are separating your opinions, your role play from others and standing apart. So in third chakra, which is called the Manipur chakra or solar plexus chakra, you connect to your inherent power, which is the sun within you. Then you come to the fourth chakra. Now the plant knows I have power, right? And it grows up. Now it starts growing small, small flowers and fruits. Here it realizes I have come only to give. Today, all of us are only working for others. How much ever success you want, you're only working for others. Your success will only come by pleasing others. Because your true nature is love, unconditional love. Right? So in this heart chakra or anahat chakra, you connect with your nature of love and giving. So it has vital lessons of how not to have mistrust, how not to have expectations, how not to have attachments. And as I said, this is the key, right? Opening this chakra, you will get the key which will fit your lock. Then what happens is, after this, you come to the throat chakra, which is called the Vishuddha chakra, which is the most powerful of all chakras. Here, what happens is you discover your unique identity. Oh, I'm this. I've come for this. Right? You discover your life purpose, what you have come for. You start expressing it. You start shedding your light to enlighten others. Right? This is the chakras of the gurus, which opens up. Then they become, elevated more and more. Now, gurus doesn't mean spiritual gurus. In your profession, you are a guru and you are teaching others. In music profession, Lata Mangeshkar is a guru. In the entertainment industry, Salman Khan is a guru. So you become a guru in your profession. You reach the heights in your profession. And your throat chakra opens. Then you come to the sixth chakra, which is the third eye chakra or Agya chakra. Now, your third eye chakra starts opening. You realize life is not what you see with the two eyes. You don't have to see the world. You have to see from the third eye. You have to see the meaning behind anything. You have to see the truth behind everything. And when you start seeing, you start realizing actually nothing is in my control. A time comes when you realize, gosh, all these years I thought I am doing something. You realize you can't do anything. Nothing you can do, nothing. It is an illusion. He makes you walk, he makes you talk, he makes you do everything. And not only that, he makes you do the mistakes also. What we do, good things means God, bad things means me. No, even bad things is him. Even you did, whatever you did, the most worst of the deeds, you hurt someone, you did anything which was incorrect, immorally or socially, anything, he made you do. He puts you in darkness and he takes you out and puts you in light. In Hindu religion, the darkness is called Kali, goddess Kali, and light is called goddess Gauri. So we have to understand both are the wives of the soul, Shiva, Kali and Gauri. What people do, they have so much of regret, so much of guilt, so much of fear that what have I done wrong? The day you come to this chakra, you start coming out of karma. I never do right, I never do wrong, I'm just a witness. It's a movie. It's a movie happening. And through that movie, I'm realizing myself. Wrong could have been done, right could have been done. I don't have to be proud for the right and be sad for the wrong. Both he has done. And then you start relaxing. So in this chakra, you start accepting everything and start seeing the drama, and actually you start laughing. And what is this? And then finally you come to the crown chakra. In crown chakra, your infinite knowingness opens, where you realize the true meaning of life and the oneness with the Creator. But till you don't connect to it, you are in a state of lack. You are in a state of discontentment. You are in a state of hopelessness. You are in a state of lack of gratitude. Today you see everyone, they are not happy with what they have. They are so discontent. I deserve this. They have given report card to themselves. I have done this, so I should get this. I'm working so hard, so I should get this. I've done this so much for this person, person should do this to me. We have given ourselves report cards. And we take whatever we have for granted. And what we don't have, we think why we don't have. There is one story that all the people, they went to Jesus with their problems. That Jesus, I'm the most unhappy person. I have these problems, these problems. So what Jesus said, I understand you all have lots of problems. Do something. Write down your problems on a piece of paper and put them inside the well. They were very happy. My problems are more than his. I will write all my problems. So what happens was everyone wrote and they put inside the well. Now Jesus said, now what you do is you pick up one chit. It will definitely not be your chit, but you take his problems. So at least your problems are gone. And you said your problems are maximum. No one went and picked up the chit. No, it's okay. My problems are okay with me. So today what happens is no one is content. No one is grateful for what we have in life. And everyone looks life from a view of pessimism. What I didn't get. No one sees what I got. And it is a choice to see the glass half full or complete. I tell you, just practice for 10 days. 10 days, you start seeing the positive. And it is miraculous. I'm telling you, just practice. For 10 days, whatever you see, you start seeing what is there, what is good about it. When you see your children, you start seeing what all they have done, how good they are. Don't see how they are, disrespectful or not studying or whatever. Start seeing the good qualities. In the house, start seeing what you have. Don't see what you don't have. In your office, with all your colleagues, start seeing their good qualities. What they have and ignore what they don't have. In your job, in your wealth status, in every status, start seeing what you have. It is very difficult actually, but you can practice for 10 days. Now, when you practice for 10 days, slowly, it will become a habit. Because first your ego will say, come on, then how will you correct it? But you have to realize that whatever is not right, automatically your intelligence corrects it. So you don't have to see the wrong thing and then want to correct it. Even when you see the right thing, you will correct what has to be corrected. So once you practice, you will notice it is possible to be optimistic. It is a choice. So these are the lessons of the 7 chakras. And every chakra, when blocked, right, it creates diseases. Emotional, mental, physical. Because every chakra controls certain organs, certain endocrine glands, right? So it controls organs, endocrine glands, and as per its blockage, it blocks the energy that comes to those organs. Okay? So can I show you a small video about the chakras? Okay.
Within each and every living being at every subtle level, there is a series of energy fields and centers of consciousness, which is called chakra or Padma. History of chakras. Even though chakras are invisible, they are located along the length of the spinal cord at the junction of arteries and veins. Neurochemists have discovered a connection between 7 basic chakras and specific endocrine glands. Each of the 7 chakras energetically affects not only certain parts of the body, but also affects our consciousness and emotions, mental and spiritual aspects. Each chakra has its own specific frequency and is associated with special color and sound wave. Chakras are also connected with specific planets. Each chakra takes energy from the environment and transforms it into a beneficial element, which is called prana, which is transmitted into the body organs to keep them healthy and vibrant. It returns the stale and stagnant energy back to the environment. Chakras work optimally when you live your true, joyful, loving and intelligent nature. However, they get blocked when you allow fear and emotions to grip you while facing difficult situations of life. Blocked chakra means blocked energy supply to the organs and dimensions that these chakras govern. This leads to physical, mental and emotional imbalances. With this arises stress, lethargy, pain in the body, poor digestion and several diseases. You face financial blockages and disharmony in relationships. We must release the stagnant energy in the chakras by releasing fears and negativity. When you attune to the spiritual laws of life that govern the chakras become balanced. So chakra meditation and chakra balancing are powerful tools that help you live to your full potential.
Okay, so I hope this video made some things very clear. So basically, we have to understand that every chakra, it is in a certain region and it controls certain organs. Okay. I think rather than showing PPT, I will just talk. Otherwise, it will become too much of input. Is that okay, Jagdish? Okay. So let me quickly come to the diseases, because today at this time of virus, COVID time, everyone has become very aware of their health. And it is my passion to help people to come out of health issues, because I feel that every health issue is coming from a stress, a darkness which you have not addressed. You tell me any health issue and I will tell you where the person is not aligned. Right? Any health issue, you can understand where the person is blocked. And we have a very effective technique to clear the block. Right? I will tell you that technique also and you can practice it yourself. Or we can have another session where I can teach you that technique. Jagdish has come to the workshop, so he knows. So we'll quickly talk about the diseases which happen with the different chakras. So you will know if you or your family people are having those issues. First is, again, we start from bottom up. In chakras, we always start, the first chakra is the bottommost chakra, the root chakra. Because we are studying in standard 1, 2, 3, ultimately we go higher. So the first chakra is the root chakra and it governs your skeletal system. It is what governs your skeletal system and your bones and your legs. This is the chakra for support and survival. As I said, if a plant is not connected to the roots, it is dingling dangling. It is not stable. If you are not connected with your parents, you can never be stable in your life. People take these things for very granted. They don't realize it is so important. But unless you honor your parents, irrespective of what they did to you, what was your experience in childhood, if you are not connected with your parents, it is not possible to be connected with society and feel oneness. And then, only then your root chakra will be strong. I see all the well-off people, they are always with their parents. Because that gives you that support, that energy to connect with the rest of the world. So a person who constantly worries about survival and support, his bones start deteriorating. He has arthritis. He has pains in the bones, ankles. And basically he has problems from the hips up to the feet. Now, every chakra is governed by a certain planet. And here astrology comes into play. Because the gods are inside the chakras, the planets are inside the chakras. The colors are in the chakras, the frequency in the chakras. So if you're doing color therapy, right? So Mooladhara chakra is for strength, physical strength, and the color is red. Can you see two people who are very, very strong and they wear red underwear? Superman, Spider-Man, Hanumanji, all of them have got Lal Langot because they symbolize root chakra, which is the color red. So the color red itself represents passion, energy of strength. And this is the place of planet Mangal, Mars. So when you say that person has Mangal dosh, it means he's coming with a karmic debt of instability. So this person finds difficult to find a partner, to get a job, etc. There are a lot of deep lessons we can go deeper. So in order to balance this chakra, you can give the color red. And the best way to give color is wear the gemstone. See, you cannot wear red underwear 365 days. So what you can do, you can wear a gemstone coral. And when you wear the gemstone, it will give copious colors to your chakra. Or you can wear a Rudraksha of that chakra. Because Rudraksha by resonance removes the negative energy. Or you can chant the mantra. The mantra of this chakra is Lam. So you can just meditate Lam, 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 Lam. Right? Or you can pray to the god of that chakra. And who is the god? Ganpati. Hanuman. You can pray. So you have many ways. Or you can hear the sounds. There are frequencies you can find on Google, on YouTube. You can hear the root chakra frequencies. Okay? Or there are even aromas which open the chakra. So there are many ways to open the chakra. Now, second, you come to the Swadhisthana chakra, which I said is the chakra for the identity. It governs your sexual organs. The people who have this chakra blocked because of self-doubt, they have problems of fertility. They feel very stuck in life. They are not creative. And they are constantly afraid of enemies, people attacking them, because they are not settled in themselves. Now, to open this chakra, you have to see the planet, the god. The planet is moon. So you do the remedies of moon. God is Krishna. So you can wear a pearl, you can pray to Krishna, you can chant the mantra. What is the mantra? Vam. You can chant Vam, 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 Vam. Or you can hear the frequency. Or you can use the color orange. That is why orange is called the color of passion. And if you see spiritual people, they are always wearing orange. Why? Because orange helps them to control their passion, their lust, their calm. What is called calm, it helps to control that. So they wear orange. Then the third chakra is the power chakra located on your stomach or the navel. This is your digestive system. The people who have this chakra block, they have a weak digestion. They have frequent acidity, they have liver problems, and they have chronic tiredness. So what you will do, one is learn the lessons of power. So in root chakra, you learn the lessons of stability. In Swadhisthana chakra, you learn the lesson of honoring yourself. In the Manipur chakra, you learn the lessons of independence. I'm not dependent on anyone. I'm not responsible for anyone. So you learn the lessons of independence in this chakra, where you learn to honor everyone's role play. So this chakra evokes that power, that sun within you. And for this, you can wear a gemstone of sun. You can pray to sun. You can hear the mantra of this planet, this chakra, which is Ram. Ram is also comes from Lord Ram. So there are many ways. If you go on YouTube, you will find many ways to open chakra. Then the fourth chakra, as I said, is the heart chakra of unconditional love. Here the color is green and the mantra is Yam. So you will learn the lessons of how to trust, how to forgive, how to come out of expectations, how to come out of attachments, and open this chakra. Then you come to the fifth chakra, which is of communication. And what is communication? Is it just talking? No, it is listening. It is understanding. So this is the chakra where you learn to have empathy, learn to have faith, and learn to speak. So we have mantra for this chakra is Hum. The color is blue. If you know the Vibgyor colors, violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, red. So this is blue. So you will pray to Jupiter. You will pray to your Guru, right? And you will learn the lessons of this chakra. How to have patience to understand and how to have the power to speak. So people who have thyroid problems, who have low immunity, they are suffering with blockage of this chakra. In fact, this COVID time is actually exposing the blockage of the throat chakra and the heart chakra. Today, people have become so impatient that they are not connecting to themselves. Everyone is running outside. Everyone has become so impatient that because of that impatience, we are not ready to understand. We are not ready to slow down. We are not ready to allow things. So when you work on these chakras, you develop that immunity, that power to allow things. Because when you allow things, you're able to handle things. You know, in COVID, they say that if the virus goes in the stomach, there is no problem. Acids will kill it. But what happens? It comes here and we react. And then it gets stuck in the lungs. Because today we are not ready to allow things which are not as per our mindset. We have become so rigid. We have become so fearful. We have become so anxious that we are not ready to be patient, to take in things, to process, to realize why it has happened in our life. What can we take out of it? Just like the heart, it takes in air, it filters the oxygen and throws the carbon dioxide. But we are not ready to do that. We want only good things to happen and no bad thing to happen. But life doesn't work as per you. Life has its own course. You have to just surrender and allow. And that's why this throat chakra is about surrender. Whatever you give is a prasad to me, is a gift to me. I will take it, process it, and learn from it. Right? So the lessons of the chakras actually teach you that every single challenge that is coming in your life, it is sent only to clear your consciousness. It only comes to evolve you closer to your higher self. Nothing comes to pull you back. Nothing comes to destroy you. Because the nature of life is growth. Are we becoming younger? Are we losing some memory? Are our senses losing some experiences? No, right? Everything is growth. So nothing comes to pull you back. Even though it looks negative, it is for your growth. Even if you have a loss, even if you have a betrayal, even if someone leaves you, it is for your growth. It might look negative, but no, it is like when you're climbing the stairs, no? You take a breath and then you climb up. Then you stop, you climb up. It is a step. So these chakras are chakras of deep understanding, of faith, of compassion. Today, in this corona time, we have just forgotten faith in ourselves. Everyone is running. Doctors also don't have solution. No one has solution. Even the doctors are getting vaccines. Because people are not having faith in their inner ability to fight. They have forgotten themselves. So, then we come to the sixth chakra, which is the third eye chakra. As I said, this is the chakra where you see the reality, where you accept things. The mantra is not Om, it's Now, this is the chakra which you can balance by wearing a blue sapphire, by chanting mantras of Shani, planet Saturn, and many other remedies of mantra, color, aroma. Even pranayam works on different chakras. If you see the different mudras, every mudra is on a different chakra. So you can use mudra, you can use kriya, you can use pranayam. Okay, and even yogasanas, every different yogasana is for a different chakra. You just have to map it. Oh, it is affecting my throat. It is affecting my stomach. It is affecting my root. Then the last chakra is the crown chakra. And as I said, this chakra only opens with lot of gratitude. Lot of gratitude. Gratitude opens up this chakra, where you realize what you are blessed with. And to open this chakra, we chant the mantra Om. We can wear a stone like crystal, a clear crystal, and you can pray to your God. God is Shiva. And there are several frequencies and colors. So this is what I have told you about chakras in a brief. And I think, Jagdish, we can take in questions now. Or we want to do a small meditation first? Meditation? Okay. So in meditation, I think let us do a gratitude meditation to open the crown chakra. Okay? Focus on your root chakra located at the tailbone. This is my center of stability and security. Imagine big roots coming out of the tailbone and entering the earth beneath to secure me to this world. Lots and lots of roots coming out of the tailbone from my feet and connecting me to this world. These roots are of my parents, my family, my friends, my colleagues, my customers, all the people around me. Someone who drives my car, the person who supplies groceries, the small conveniences of life which I just sometimes don't notice. Hey, I'm so supported. See the roots deep inside Mother Earth. Grow them deep inside, ready to take in nutrition in all forms. My mother is so rich, she's so abundant, she can create anything. She has never let me go hungry even a single day. Not a day has gone without clothes, without shelter, without support. Any time I fell, she was there to hold me. I trust you, Mother. I trust you for your support. Feel so supported in the Mooladhara chakra. You will take care of my health. You have given me birth. You have the choice to take me away. You will take me away when my purpose in life is done. I've come for a purpose. Till that purpose is done, I'm here to stay. You are supporting me with every breath I take, with the blood circulating in my veins, with the heart pumping inside me. In every way, my body is supporting me. My family is supporting me. The society is supporting me. My company, my business is supporting me. The society, the people, the country, the world are supporting me in so many ways. Thank you, God. Thank you. Feel that sense of gratitude and say thank you for the support, thank you for the stability. Focus on the Swadhisthana orange chakra located 2 inches below the navel, where I reside, where my uniqueness resides. Pay gratitude to God to make me me. I always wanted to be me. Thank you for making me me. Express your gratitude for your qualities, your talents, your uniqueness, and everything that comes with it, your parents, your spouse, your children. Thank you, God. Thank you. on the Manipur chakra, on the navel. This is my power. You have given me power in many forms. Physical power, mental power of intelligence, power as a father, power as a spouse, power as a child, power as a friend, power as a boss, power as an employee, power for my talents. You have given me so much of power to make my environment the way I wanted it to be. Thank you. Thank you for the trust and the love in my heart that I feel. Thank you for the beautiful things that I feel in this world. For the beautiful sensory things that you let me experience. The beauty, the fragrance, the beautiful music, the things that I feel. Everything is so beautiful. Thank you for allowing me to experience it. Thank you. Thank you for the power of expression in my throat, where I can express. Thank you for guiding me towards spirituality to know my grander self. This Maya sometimes makes me so stuck. I don't realize I'm far bigger, far huge, far expansive. Whatever I saw outside is a mini fraction of what I am inside. Infinite, infinite. You may all rub your hands and slowly open your eyes. Now, Jagdish, over to you, and you can unmute yourself. All of you can unmute yourself.
So I would like to invite everybody here. So if they have any particular issues, regarding the health or anything which they want to talk about, so I think you can raise this thing. So I personally just wanted to know, like, okay, now since the corona thing has happened, a lot of people are having anxiety, and they are not able to communicate with people like the way we used to do physically. So how do we should we get our energy back, and the remove the anxiety, plus get the energy of being with people? So what do you do in as chakra meditation so that we get that same energy back?
See, I think that, connecting with the lessons of the chakra, connecting with what life has to teach us, that, we are stable, we are secure, and that will help us to remove anxiety. It is like surrender to the lessons of life, knowing that it is in charge. We can do our job, rest it has to do. Like I always tell people, why do you think you can heal yourself? You cannot even heal one scratch. Right? What we can do is apply Dettol, protect it, but you cannot heal it, right? So we have to learn the art of surrender and flow with life. So I think that is the best way, and not to have so much of fear. Yeah. We have to trust our ability and our immunity.
Right. Excellent. Yeah. Anybody else in the group would like to ask some questions? Sanjay Patel. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I had one question. You had discussed about that every part has got, body parts are linked with some chakra and also linked with some, medical or health related problem.
Yes.
So
yes.
I have a question, related to my mother. So she's going through dementia.
Okay.
Okay. Now it's related to brain.
Yeah.
Okay. Where her brain is, actually, degenerating. Brain cells are. So how do we work on chakras, and especially if we want to do some healing for her, can we do it as a third person, because she herself will not be able to do it on her own?
I think one is to keep old people engaged in some activity where they learn something, because they are not learning, their memory is fading because they are not getting that oiling. So you can teach her something, teach her some yoga, teach her some small things. So that part is important.
Yeah.
And
We are engaging her, in terms of drawing, and also, she's learning
yes,
music now.
right. So that part is good. And if you come to me, because I take personal one-to-one consultation, you can come to me and I can suggest some crystal or rudraksh to open her chakra.
Okay.
Because it is the crown chakra of knowledge which is getting blocked.
Okay.
Because she is in the same environment and same knowledge. Because it is not growing, it is degenerating.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Kamlesh Manuja, can you unmute yourself and put your video on? He has one questions to ask Neetaji. Kamlesh Manuja.
Hi, Jagdish. Thank you.
Hey, hi. Go
Uh,
ahead.
yeah. So, Neetaji, thank you. I think it's quite an enlightening session, and its subject is so vast that 2 hours don't do complete justice. So, Jagdish, thank you for placing me on this particular Lost Key session.
Yes.
So, Neetaji, I think you mentioned about for 10 days one should practice appreciating things which are going in the environment. Try to pick up the positives. Can you suggest some basic steps where one can go about and consciously make this as a practice?
Okay. No, as I said, that if you are very serious on the path of spirituality, right? And spirituality, as I said, it is actually a science of opening the heart. And what is opening the heart? It is becoming love,
Mm.
right? Actually, spirituality is nothing but becoming love.
Mhm.
So, and to come to that, you have to do certain practices to come out of illusions. Because the biggest hurdle in spirituality is illusion. Anything that attracts you, you have to stay away from. And what happens, Satish is shocked, my God. But I tell you, when I was in this path of spirituality, so what I did was anything my body used to say, I want it, I used to stop it. Means something like, suppose I'm eating lunch and my ego used to say, Neeta, pickle, cancel pickle for 15 days. Means anything it used to get attracted. Like, if you watch a TV serial, right? And especially if you watch 2 episodes of Big Boss, you will want to see the third one. So the moment my mind used to say, I want to watch it, cancel for 15 days. And then, like, I had a habit of calling particular friends every day, cancel for 15 days. So what happened was, slowly, I started canceling what I didn't know I was addicted. Like tea, coffee, chocolates. I just canceled. Then what happened was, and it is not easy, it's very tough. Because 3 days you feel, okay, I can do it. What is 15 days? But then, 4th, 5th day, your mind tells you, ki Neeta, what she has told is totally rubbish. So what happens is, 4th, 5th day, your mind starts putting doubt in you that why you are doing it. Have you come in this world for this? What is the use of having money? Why do you have all this when you can't enjoy? Is this life? And then what happens after 6, 7 days, it gets angry at you, very angry, very angry. And you actually want to fight with the whole world. Then 8th, 9th day, 10th day, you become depressed, as if life is nothing, better to die. Then 10th, 11th, 12th day, you are in that very morose mode where you don't want to do anything. After 13th day, liberation comes. Where you feel it's okay now. It's there, it's okay. Not there, it's okay. After that, you enjoy your tea, no? After that, enjoy the things. After that, what happens? You never get addicted because you have learned how to fight. After that, I watch television. If I'm there, I watch. If I'm not there, I don't watch. Everything, whether it is your social media, anything, you're not addicted. Then it is like a game for you. So you have to do it in this path of spirituality. And second is food. Food is a very major part. I tell people that it is very important to see what you are taking in. Because if you are taking tamasic food, means non-veg and processed food, fast food, you cannot meditate. So I tell people the kind of diet, if we have another session sometimes, or I have many videos on YouTube, more than 1,000, so you can watch, where I have spoken about meditation, where I have told what you should eat, what type of diet to be able to meditate.
Yeah. So, anybody else? I mean, would you want to speak a little more about gratitude, Neetaji? Because his question was like, how do you practice more gratitude as well? So, can you give us some simple tips on, how do we experience gratitude and what is the way we can do that?
Okay. Now, gratitude, as I said, that one is gratitude and one is optimism, right? And it is a practice. Initially, it is very tough. And even to come out of jealousy is very tough. But what you do in awareness, initially you do it like a mechanical thing. That whatever you see, either if you want, you can write down the good points of your spouse, of your child, of the people who work for you, of your friends, and think about it and practice seeing it. The best part is if you see the positive, only see the positive. The beauty part is if you start seeing something positive, you will connect to only positive of that person. Like you will realize if you love someone, you will see only his positive. And if you dislike someone, you'll see only his negative. So what you do is initially you do it mechanically. Mentally, you start seeing that what all they have done for you, what are they doing, and try to understand their perspective. And that is very tough most of the times because people are very anxious and they are in grip of emotion. So you have to meditate also. And once you do it, you start making it a practice. And after 15 days, it will become a habit. You will start seeing positivity in everything and gratitude for everything. But then it requires a state of a lot of awareness. I hope this answers the question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, Neetaji. Thank you.
Varatharajan ji, you would like to open up? Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, Namaste Neetaji. Just wanted to ask you, what I understand is that, attempting to open the higher chakras without the lower chakras having been properly opened up can lead to a lot of imbalances and at times, behavior which could border on lunacy or things like that because it's not acceptable. So that's where this has to be done only under the guidance of an evolved master or guru who can be there clearly under the supervision. So, and I just want to know your thoughts on this.
See, what happens is working on the higher chakras without working on the lower chakras is like doing the interiors of a house without actually seeing the makeup of the bricks. Yeah. Right? So you have to first strengthen the foundation. Because as I said, you cannot be content till you have actually done a karma to see it outside. Right? So you cannot be satisfied or you cannot see the reality unless you have created it. Or unless you know that you have power to handle it. Today, people have closed their third eye chakra because they fear seeing something they don't want to see. Right? They are so fearful that I don't want to believe that this can happen to me, or I don't want to even think this happens to me. Right? So unless the lower chakras of power, stability, fighting spirit are opened, you cannot work on the top chakras. But what some people do is they try to separate themselves from society and they try to work only on the top chakras. Like I have certain clients, they've left their job, they've left everything and they just meditate. When they tell me I'm meditating since 20 years, I think, in 20 where you would have reached. But actually when I analyze their chakras, most of their chakras are blocked. So what happens is they are doing some growth, they are imagining they are becoming spiritual. They think that they are seeing, spiritual figures and lights and having some cosmic vision, but actually they have not come anywhere. So also, I don't think we need the help of guided masters if we progress in a proper way. If we progress from the lower chakras, automatically our inner guru awakens and it guides us to open the other chakras. I feel many times people get into the trap of gurus and they stop listening to their inner self. I have always practiced just listening to myself. And automatically a connection starts and you start hearing and getting guidance.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks. Yes.
Jagdish, can I ask one more question?
Yeah, please, Kamlesh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kamlesh.
Neetaji, from your perspective, normally in our corporate world or maybe in the neighborhood, in the circles we see, there are few people who are very unhappy with themselves. They constantly quarrel, identify negative things, or put a blame to others. What do you think in such an individual, which is the chakra which is not in equilibrium, where the person needs to work upon?
It is actually the Swadhisthana chakra. Because they are not happy with what they have got. They probably feel that life is unfair to them.
Correct.
So what happens is, because they feel that negativity, and mostly it comes from relationships. Probably it is relationship with their parents in childhood or relationship with their spouse. So what happens is this discontentment or unhappiness spills out as negativity. So that's why they don't realize how to get harmony, how to honor the other person, how to respect his space, right? And probably these are people who have been taken advantage of. They have trusted people, but people have encroached their personal space. So they are not knowing how to protect themselves, defend themselves. So they feel by quarreling, they're keeping people at bay. But they have to realize that the most supreme emotion is love. And you can solve everything with love. Because love has intelligence. But in order to balance this chakra, they have to first cleanse themselves of that negativity. They have to realize that all the adversity has come to make them powerful. Like that bird, chicken.
Correct.
So they have to realize that every negativity they have faced, they have to learn the lesson and wash the negativity. We have to know we have immense detachment power, power to let go, and power to cleanse ourselves. Every organ of our body is cleansing itself every minute. See how the skin is taking out sweat. The kidneys are filtering urine. How the excreta is coming. How the lungs are continuously, taking out carbon dioxide. Even the eyes are taking out muck. Nose is taking out. Ears are taking out. So we have so much power to filter negativity. But what happens is, because of ignorance, because we are trapped in Maya, we are not able to process negativity. And that negativity goes in our system and leads us to behave this way. And diseases also are caused because of any negativity you don't handle for a particular length of time becomes a disease.
Hey, hi. This is Kumar. Actually, can I have one small question?
Yeah. Okay, please go ahead, Kumar.
And especially related to procrastination. Like keep wanted to do something, but unfortunately you keep on procrastinate and you change that and you don't do it on time. What kind of a chakra it impacts actually? What is the actual chakra we need to meditate on?
Okay. So procrastination, lethargy, postponing things, right? Avoiding work, trying to find a shortcut, trying to live in a fantasy world. These are all the blockages of the root chakra. Right? It is the chakra for stability. It is the chakra of your physical self. And procrastination comes because you are aligning with your physical self. You are thinking you are the body that has to work. You are not realizing you are the soul which has to make the body work.
Right.
You are thinking you are the horse and you are not realizing you are the rider of the horse. So what we have to do is I make people release procrastination in one meditation. What I do is I tell them to look at the fear of work. That work is so much. It is so hard. It is so tough. Right? So you have to look at the fear of work. And the magical part is when you look at fear for a continuous length of time, it disappears. Because it is an illusion, it is temporary. So what happens is, if you don't release it, you come into a loop of lot of self-remorse. And the more you reject yourself, the more you lose your power to work hard. So whenever a person is in some negative trait like addiction or in a behavior where they are not very, they are abusive or not cordial, or any kind of negative trait makes the person reject himself. And rejecting himself makes him lose power.
Oh.
So I tell people first accept yourself, because what is yourself is your soul, which is everything. Because there is an energy inside you telling you not to procrastinate. So you have to connect to that energy, because that is you. Because you know what you want. Today, every person present here knows what he wants. Everyone wants stability, creativity, power, love, success, intelligence. Everyone wants the same thing. So connect to what you want and then see what you don't want. Feel it and throw it out.
Thank you, Neetaji.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thanks so much. Yeah. Over to you, Satish.
Yeah, thanks. So, Neetaji, actually, I'm stumped today on where to start and where to end. So, since you told 3 stories to us, I thought let me start with a story. Actually, I had heard this story, but now today I could actually see a practical implementation of it. A professor comes to the class with a big bottle, and he has some big rocks, and he puts the big rocks in it and says the bottle is full. So today, while you were starting to talk to us, I thought that now the bottle is full. Neetaji is over. She has nothing more to say. Then you came up with the smaller stones and started filling that in the bottle. And we all thought that the bottle is now full. Nothing more can go into it. Then you came with the sand and you again put in so much of thought into it. And then again, I thought that, oh, the bottle is full, and now nothing more can go into it. See, I can just see that the bottle is full. And then again, you came with some water and put the water in the bottle, and it went on and on. So so lesson after lesson, in cricket we say stroke for stroke, but it just went on and on. So thank you very much for all that you said. Some of the thoughts that actually impacted me, to a great extent, was the one when you said that you have the power when you're on the side of dharma. I think it's such a marvelous statement that once you're on the correct side, it doesn't matter how many people are with you. And a right is a right even if nobody is doing it. A wrong is a wrong even if everybody is doing it. I think this was a glorious takeaway for me. The concept of neutrality, which we keep on hearing, pleasure and pain, as you very beautifully explained it, was the other thing. You went into so many technical things which I'm not so great at, but I could clearly see the connect that you did with the color, with the sound, with the aroma, with the stones, with the mantra, with the frequency. I think this was something which was simply marvelous. you are the witness. You're not the doer. You are the witness. I'm just witnessing what is actually happening. uh, Discover your unique identity is something that simply kept me hooked, if you ask me. uh, all the three stories that you said, about the beggar who just couldn't leave that begging bowl, or the small child who interfered in the process of nature in that egg getting blossoming, and the one with the problems. Everybody comes in the room with their problems, and when they pick up the story, the way I heard it was, when you pick up a problem, because all the problems were mixed, and then you had to pick up any one problem, and when you read that problem, you realized that your problem was so insignificant. Everybody's problems are so insignificant as compared to the others. That's the way I read that story. And I'm happy to say that all these stories have featured in Reading Corner. So I felt so nice that, it resonates with everybody. You also said that everybody has become impatient. I just thought that either we have become corona patients and the rest of us have become impatient. That's the one thought that really came into my mind. Um, the one other statement I thought is something which I'm going to live my life with, is that, hey, I'm so supported. That's a beautiful statement, because so many people, and when you were doing the gratefulness a piece of your talk, I really appreciated the way that you took even people who are doing small things for you, to be grateful to them, because many times in our endeavor to be grateful for the big things, there's a tendency among us to forget about the small things that need so much of appreciation, so much of gratitude. And the way those people do those things for you is just reflexive, and they don't even expect that kind of gratitude from us. I think that was good. So I am enough, I do enough, and I have enough. And you've given me the power to create the environment I wanted, was the other lesson that I learned. And everything is so beautiful. I think this 2 hour 10 minutes just flew by. And I'm sure, even if Jagdish doesn't call you, not that he will not, but I think the lost key will wholeheartedly wish that you can spare some time for us. And that's an open invitation. You choose the day, you choose the time, and we all will be here. Thank you very much, Neetaji.
Thank you so much. Also, one more thing, I have pasted a link where if people want to analyze their chakras for free, so you can click here and analyze your chakras. So you will get a report in your mailbox where you can see where are you in that chakra status. And I have given my mobile number also for those who want to connect with me.
Wonderful. And definitely I will include you in the group. That is the first thing
Yes.
I will do.
Yes.
So that we are always connected, and then
Right.
we all are part of the same journey.
Right.
Really. Yeah. Thanks, Neetaji, once again.